everyone and welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be exploring Class 8 Science Chapter 2, Friend and Foe / Microorganisms. Now, let's look back at what we already know. What's a friend? Friend meaning you know them, they are nice to you, and foe, perhaps the opposite of friend. And then microorganisms meaning organisms which are really small. Now let's get into the chapter. Microorganisms are microbe and microbe are the same things. Okay, you will hear microbes and microorganisms, but they're basically the same thing. There's no difference really. Now, some can be seen with a magnifying glass, but some can only be seen through a microscope. We can't see them with naked eye. So there's a thing that we can't see microorganisms with our naked eye, but they can be seen through a magnifying glass or basically a microscope. Now there are 4 types of microorganisms: bacteria, fungus, algae, and protozoa. Now let's get into bacteria. Now they're single-celled and vastly found. So bacteria are found from the coldest climates to the hottest climates. Okay, so they're very a lot found. Okay, they live in colonies of millions. So you can understand how many there will be in this world. Now there are different shapes of the bacteria. The first one is spherical, which is like this. These are called cocci. Now there are rod-shaped, which are called bacilli, and they look a bit like that, as you can see in the picture. Then we've got spiral, which look like pui, and they can be called Spirillium or Spirillia. Okay, so any of them will work. Then we've got fungi. Fungi are plant-like organisms but don't have chlorophyll. They are unicellular or multicellular, and unicellular meaning one cell in them, and multicellular meaning many cells in them. Example is Rhizopus, mushroom. You have eaten mushroom and pizza, you know. That's the mushroom that we're talking about. Yes, mushroom is not a vegetable, it's a fungi. Then we've got yeast. Yeast do anaerobic respiration. Okay, now let's talk about algae. Simple plants, plant-like structure, and they don't have stems, roots, or leaves. They're aquatic, meaning they're found in water. Can be unicellular or multicellular, so have one cell or many cells. They contain chlorophyll and do photosynthesis. Example can be seaweed, diatoms, and Chlamydomonas. So you can remember the spelling. You know, the spelling is the hard part. Everything else is easier to understand. Now, protozoa. Protozoa are unicellular and they're also aquatic. Examples can be amoeba and paramecium. So you can find amoeba in lake water where the water is kind of dirty, where amoeba find its food, you know, so they need things in the water. This is how a amoeba looks like. And they're unicellular, meaning one cell, that's our nucleus in the middle. Alright, this is our paramecium. They're also unicellular. Now, viruses. What are these viruses? You have been listening so much about viruses these days. Now, they're smaller than any known cell, meaning any known cell in our body or to other animals. They're smaller than that. They can only reproduce in a living host. Living host meaning if you're the person, the virus wants to come inside you so that they can reproduce and have their colonies, you know? So they get the right temperatures, the food, and then they reproduce. When they're in the atmosphere, they act as a dead thing. But as soon as they get in their host, meaning us, they start acting alive. Example can be HIV. HIV is a common virus. Hepatitis B, Ebola virus, and COVID-19, which is the most famous right now. It is all over the community. Okay. Friendly microorganisms. Now there are some bad microorganisms and there are some good microorganisms. Right now we're learning about the good ones. Some are used in curd, bread, and cake. Now in curd you use lactobacillus. Bacteria breaks sugar in milk into lactic acid. That creates the curd. Now, some are used in the production of alcohol. They are also decomposers, meaning they can decompose. Decompose meaning if you have a dead body, if you have any rubbish on the ground, they can decompose, meaning they can break down all the what do you call that? Something complex. Yeah. If this is a complex thing, then they will break it down into two. Right? That's the decomposer's work. Then some are used in agriculture to fix nitrogen. Now you will hear fixing nitrogen a lot throughout this chapter, but just keep that in mind that we are going to look at what is that at the end of the video, so don't worry. Now what is antibiotics? Antibiotics, these are medicines which contain bacteria which help destroy the pathogen in your body. Examples can be triacylane, streptomycin, penicillin, erythromycin, and etc. There are many of these, but those are medicines which contain bacteria which help destroy the pathogen, meaning the invader in our body. If you don't get this too much, please do watch the immune system video that we've got. Increasing soil fertility. Now they can also increase soil fertility. Some bacteria and blue-green algae are able to get nitrogen into the soil and fix the nitrogen basically. These are called biological nitrogen fixers. Okay? Harmful bacteria. Now what about the bad bacteria? Some bacteria can ruin leather, clothes, foods, and other things. Some can cause fatal infections, so you don't want them to be around you. The harmful bacteria can come in malaria, female Anopheles mosquito. Anopheles is a type of mosquitoes, and female ones carry malaria. Dengue, female AIDS mosquito. They are also a type of mosquito, and they are female, carry dengue. Okay, because the female ones actually bite you, the male ones are just like at home chilling. Okay. Then you have diseases which can pass from one to another are called communicable diseases, meaning not all diseases can spread, but a disease like chickenpox can spread so quickly, so they are called communicable disease. Food poisoning. The microorganisms which grow on food can produce toxic elements, and when we eat them, we get food poisoning, so we fall ill, or that can be sometimes fatal too. Now, human diseases. Malaria is caused by protozoa. Okay, protozoa is just a type of microorganism, but there are many types of protozoa as well. Anthrax is a dangerous human and cattle disease caused by a bacterium. Diseases in plants can stop its growth. Yeah, you may have seen diseased plants which have weird dots on them, or they're drying up quickly. They can stop its growth. Now, citrus canker is caused by a bacteria, is the rusting of wheat by fungi attack, and etc. So that's really, really bad. Now, storage of food. There are 8 methods to store food and not get bacteria on it or get food poisoning. The chemical method. Edible chemicals are put into food called preservatives. Salt and acids are put in pickles, example sodium benzoate and sodium metabilsulfate. Now, please do remember these words, but if you can't, then that's completely fine. You'll get used to them. Buy common salt. This is the second way. Meat and fish are covered to check the growth of bacteria, meaning they're covered in salt, and then if they're growing bacteria, then you can see it with the covering of salt. It is also used for amla. Amla is a fruit, mango, and tamarind. By sugar. Jams, jelly, and squash are preserved by sugar. Sugar reduces the moisture in the food, which inhibits the growth of bacteria, meaning they do not let the bacteria grow and the moisture is taken out. By oil and vinegar, they make unfavorable conditions for the bacteria meaning they don't like the condition, and this can be used for fish, meat, fruit pickles. Heat and cold treatment. Bacteria can't survive in too hot or cold climates. Pasteurization. First, the milk or the food, basically it's done in milk, is boiled, then chilled to kill the bacteria, meaning first they're boiled and then suddenly they're chilled. So that's how you kill the bacteria with pasteurization. Then nitrogen fixation. As I told you, we will talk about this, but let me show you more about this. In leguminous plants, legumes meaning you can say beans or things like that, kidney beans like that. Rhizobium, which is present in the nodules of the plant roots. So nodules are like the plant roots tips kind of stuff over there, around there. Help in fixing nitrogen. Sometimes nitrogen gets fixed in the process of lightning. Storage packing. Storage packing is the most common one. The food is stored in airtight container which prevents bacterium to grow in there. Now, nitrogen fixing. The nitrogen in our air can't be inhaled, so the plants have different types of microorganisms which help in the nitrogen getting converted into other forms of nitrogen like ammonium. When we eat the green plants, we get nitrogen. This is done through the nitrogen cycle. Now, the nitrogen in our air is, we can't really inhale nitrogen, So the plants take in the nitrogen. They put it down to the rhizobium and all those bacteria and microorganisms. Then they convert the nitrogen into other forms of nitrogen like ammonium and nitrate and things like that, which we can actually have. Then we eat the green plants and we get nitrogen. This is done to a nitrogen cycle. Now, when there's a cycle, we have to return it back to the original owner, meaning when living things die, they have lots of nitrogen in them. So some bacteria present in the soil actually take out the nitrogen from the dead body, they compose it and stuff. They actually take out the nitrogen and send it back shooting up to the air. So the atmosphere never loses the amount of nitrogen it has. Another question might be, why do we actually need nitrogen? Nitrogen is important because um, some of our we have lots of ammonia or amino acid actually. So that's why we need lots of nitrogen to keep us alive. Fermentation. Fermentation is the process in which yeast or things like that break sugars or starch into alcohol or acids. Okay? So that's it for this chapter. Hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something new, and I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care and bye-bye.